Hey, Lacrosse fans, I'm Gabe Henderson, joined by Patrick Strawn, previewing the Liberty Men's Lacrosse home matchup this weekend against the West Virginia Mountaineers. And Pat, of course, we saw the Flames this weekend, their first road test. They went 1-1 against Tennessee and then lost a close nail-biter against South Carolina. What's been your biggest takeaway from that first road trip of the season?
Well, I think a bit of it has got to be that this team is still just trying to get a feel for each other. I mean, obviously, season just started, and I know a lot of guys were kind of chomping at the bit to start getting the season rolling because they even said it, like, kind of a little tired of practice and also tired of lifting. Like, we want to start getting some games under our belt, and they were able to do so. I mean, with Tennessee, they were getting things rolling, and I think they kind of knew as the game was going on that, hey, we're better than this team, and like trying to get their offense rolling. A lot of guys contributed in that contest, and really they put their offense on display, putting up 19 on the Volunteers. But then different story against the Gamecocks when unfortunately they were in a back and forth matchup. Who South Carolina, they're going to be the surprise pick in the SELC because I don't think anyone expected them to be as good as they are, and they're not only undefeated on the season, but now they got two ranked wins under the belts, beating Florida State the week before and now the Flames. So I think in that matchup, that was just kind of one of those games where I think the Gamecocks just not only outplayed them defensively, but then when they needed to, they were able to put some offensive goals in the back of the net. Even more so, the difference maker was the face-off circle.
And another fact, they held Caleb Britton, who is a guy who's a big contributor to our team. They held him scoreless that entire game.
I think that's just kind of, for any team watching that are going to play the Flames coming up this season, I think South Carolina kind of showed a blueprint. Hey, if we can shut down 92, the team's going to probably struggle in some of their offense. He's only been shut out in 2 games out of 17 in his early career for the Flames already. But in those 2 games, Flames got 2 L's on them. So I think there's definitely something that's got to be changed. And I think also you got to figure out who's going to be that other attackman that's going to complement Gregory and Britton. I mean, Gregory, he played well, and also Derek Ashe and, if I'm not mistaken, Carter Elliott. They were able to bring the offense for the Flames and really did their best to keep them in it. But unfortunately, I mean, even a guy like Nick Arvidsson, who's key in their midfield, he wasn't even able to get a goal on the board. Chase Wright, he's a two-way good midi for them, wasn't able to get any offense too. And then who's that other attackman, like I said, that's going to replace Nick Lombardozzi, the senior that graduated last year. So you're going to have to find a way, because when your goaltender and Ryan Reynolds can make 20 saves in a game, there's not much that else he can do. The offense has really got to start kind of firing, and Flames historically have been known as one of the best offenses in the SCLC, and unfortunately, they just weren't able to do it. So they got to find a way to get their offense rolling, and there's a good test with them here with West Virginia to try to get back to good habits.
Right, so like you said, we got to flush that last game, move forward, and of course, West Virginia, they're coming in this weekend. So what are you expecting out of the Flames this Saturday?
I think they're going to try to start getting things back to the basics and try to work their offense a little bit more. I think that's kind of got to be the key for them. Don't worry about getting flashy, especially if you start putting a lot of goals up on the Mountaineers. Honestly, you need to keep working the ball, cycling the ball around, making sure everybody's getting involved. All 6 guys on the offense, the attackmen and the midfielders are working together. Got to hone the face-off circle, and then honestly really try to do a much better job there and trying to build confidence, because after that, you got 2 top 10s coming in Colorado and ASU, and they've been to the national tournament the last few years, and that's where you're trying to go, especially Colorado. They're a former national champion, too. So this is a game where, obviously, they can kind of start getting back to the basis and then hone those skills to get ready for those next 2 top 10 matchups.
Right, and those next 2 top 10 matchups, all 3 of these games are at home. Yeah. So how big is it, protecting their home turf? Because that's something Cal really, thrives, and this program has been built off of winning at home. So how big is that game?
I think if you can't win here at home, it's going to be much harder for you to win on the road. I mean, you got 2 other big matchups, the Battle of Baltimore against UConn and Michigan State. They're 2 teams that beat you last year, and they're also ranked, so that's going to be a tough matchup. So you got to really try to fine-tune. And if you can get 2 wins over 2 top 10 opponents, or even more so, split with them and keep the other one a little close, which you were able to do last year when you were at Colorado, so you know what they're built. I think that's going to build a lot of confidence for them. I think last year they were a little upset that they didn't get the at-large bid. I think those are 2 games there. They got to show why they deserve the at-large bid, because kind of teetering at that 15, 14, 16 range, that's not going to do it. They got to find their way in the top 12 of the country this year, and winning one of those games would help.
These guys aren't freshmen anymore, so it's a different mindset. But what separates this team from previous teams?
Well, I would say this team, they are a bit younger still. But, I mean, I think even Coach McQuillan says, we can't use the excuse of being young anymore. The guys are adapted to college life, college lacrosse, so they know what the teams they're going to be facing are like, and even more so, half the schedule, they've played these teams already. So, I mean, there's no surprises on who they're going to be facing. So, I mean, I think, honestly, it's a matter of them coming together, and honestly, you got to find someone to step up. Like, I mean, the mindset of next man up has got to really be the mentality, and honestly, you got to be able to find a way to do what you can to kind of will yourself to be able to come away with some of these wins. I mean, they only lost by 2 goals, but we don't want to see kind of a story of last year where they kind of were winning, being close in a lot of the ranked teams, but being on the short side. They got to find themselves on the right side and get a couple of W's this year.
Nice. Well, Pat, Flames looking to go 2-1 this weekend against West Virginia. Coming in here, the game will be broadcasting on ESPN3. So if you cannot join us here at the Lacrosse Fields, be sure to join us on ESPN3. For Patrick Strawn, I'm Gabe Henderson for LFSN, signing off.